And I think because it's 9 a.m., we just want to kind of move through the school board issue with R2A. There's a related item R9F. Mr. Clerk?
Yes, sir. Item R2A is issue RFQ Comprehensive Program Review of Nautilus Middle School. This is a public hearing. And R9F is a discussion relating to the extended foreign language program in Miami-Dade Public Schools requested by Commissioner Tobin.
Okay. Commissioner Tobin, do you want to take over this?
Yes. I had asked that some time ago we started sort of a review of the various schools in our feeder pattern. And with the support of the Commission and the QEC, we were sort of traveling down this road to figure out how we can make Nautilus Middle School the best middle school in the country. And you know, I think it's a great goal for us to have, and we should shoot high. It may mean that we need to help out some of the elementary schools in the feeder pattern, but I'll just go over some of the statistics just so that this body understands where I'm coming from. These are the, and it takes, the reason why I think we should have an expert is because it takes hours and hours to figure out some of the stats on these schools. Even reading through the school board's proposal, you know, it lacks some of the detail that would be necessary if you really wanted to accomplish an objective in a precise way. Let me give you stats on 8th graders going into high school at Nautilus. 62% of them passed reading proficiency, and 18% of them passed math. So these are the kids that are going into Miami Beach Senior High. In comparison, Feinberg, 57% passed reading and 61% passed math. 18% passed math in Nautilus, 61% passed math at Feinberg. Ruth K. Broad, 72% passed reading compared to our 62% at Nautilus, and 70% at Ruth K. Broad passed math compared to our 18%. 8th graders, 2014, the test scores for our charter schools. We have 2 charter schools in the city, and at some point I had spoken to this, advocated to this body that we hire an expert, and that part of that expert's charge would be to tell us, you know, would it be provident for us to perhaps take over Nautilus, take over that campus and turn it into a municipal charter? I thought that perhaps the parents would get more responsiveness from the city commissioners as opposed to the school board, which has a much bigger sandbox. You know, our sandbox is small and their sandbox is big. I thought perhaps a municipal charter, we should at least look at it to see whether or not that gets us where we want. I know that there are some people that are adamantly opposed to considering having the city take over, and I respect everyone on this dais. So in any event, our 2 charter schools which operate in the city, and they're not municipal charters, but matter, 65% of them passed reading, and 58% of them passed math. Our second charter school, Ben Gamla, 100% of the students passed reading, and 83% of them passed math. You know, in meeting with the people that I had a chance and an opportunity to meet with from the school board, they're very nice and they're very professional, but I just think that we need to exercise a little more control when it comes to Nautilus, at least for some period of time, so that we can get it on the right track. Since 2010, Nautilus has not met their annual measurable objectives for performance. In fact, they've declined. In 2012, 2013, they declined in both math and reading. In 2011 and 12 school year, they declined in both math and reading. And here's the last group of statistics, which I think is incredibly significant. Schools set up targets for themselves, and it's very difficult to sort of navigate these websites and figure out, because a lot of times you'll get a proposal from Dade County School Board, and it looks great. And it has charts and things like that, and to the person that doesn't really understand this, which I don't understand it completely, it takes hours to figure out and sort of look behind the, you know, some of the material that you receive. So let's talk about the targets for Nautilus, because we've all talked about excellence, right? We all want excellence. The target, and mind you, Nautilus has not been able to meet their target since 2010, but the target for reading for Nautilus is 80% for the 2016-17 year and 78% for math. Great, right? Significant improvement. Ada Merit's target is 92% for reading and 94% for math. Our target is 80% for reading. Ada Merit is 92%. In math, our target is 78. Ada Merit's is 94. Looking at Carver, Carver's target is 98% for reading and 98% for math. So we're not striving for excellence, and we really need to come together as a group and figure out how we are going to do this. The school board takes this as a big affront to them. And they've spent a lot of time in City Hall in the last couple of weeks, and they're very upset that we would endeavor to sort of play in their playground. But the data suggests that it's imperative, and we know from the last surveys, the community surveys, even though the schools are not in our province, the residents, the number 2 or 3 concern was that they're not getting enough in the schools from the city, even though, you know, technically speaking, perhaps it's only the school board's obligation. But I think it says a lot for this body that we've decided to look into this problem, and we've committed to this problem. I find that the school board's proposal lacks time frames, it lacks a lot of details, and again, all we're looking for, and the school board should know that all we're looking for is an expert to tell us how we can make Nautilus the best middle school in the country, and at least one of the top schools in the county, which clearly it is not. And that's it as a matter of introduction. I'm just asking for a vote today that we will put out an RFP to look for an expert that can really help us crunch through all this data and figure out what it is that we need to do, and perhaps we need to encourage the school board to have more confidence in their abilities, and perhaps they should up their performance objectives. In any event, that's...
Let me ask a quick question, and I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Malikoff. As far as the RFP, an RFP that would not mention a charter school alternative, or is it an RFP initially that would just talk about how do we make this a better school?
Well, for me, I wanted you know, some kind of national expert that would consider all of our options.
Right.
I may not have support for that. I'll try as a first motion to ask the expert to give us their opinion on, you know, I know that...
So we'll have two motions.
Yeah.
Okay, let's turn it over to Commissioner Malikoff. Commissioner Malikoff?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. Are we going to discuss this now here? Because I have a lot of disagreements with my honored colleague there with reference to Nautilus and public education versus charter education. Or are we going to hear from people who are here from the school board
we can hear from the
first?
school board, we will, but we just got to move this along, because either we're going to reach out for an expert or we're not, unless you want to send this to a committee and...
No, I don't. I think we should move on it, and I think that it's a big mistake to get a consultant. I mean, do you want to discuss it now?
What,
And I'll just,
let's just
do you want to hear from the... Okay, real quick.
If you're against it...
I am against it. I believe that Superintendent Carvalho, in good faith, has given us a presentation of what they're going to do, including a partnership with FIU. I think it's very important. I think they're going to be working on improving school culture with both positive items as well as anti-bullying. They're adding more foreign language.
Right.
The most current numbers, which Mr. Commissioner Tobin didn't include, is there is an increase in reading proficiency by 7% on the FCATs and 11% in science. Algebra is now being offered, a high school algebra class in Nautilus, and 160 kids are taking it. This is for high school credit.
Right.
And there are other courses. I think Nautilus is on the right track. I think they need more time. Charter schools cherry-pick the students who go there. Nautilus, like other public schools, accept every child, whether they have learning difficulties, no matter who they are. I think we have to go by also, we have a wonderful quality education committee who also say forget about the charter
appreciate
schools.
it. I think, and I'll let Commissioner Whitehorn speak in 1 second, but I think we have to realize, and I think it's really important, that all these things that the supervisor and the county have come forward to us are based on the fact and all the efforts that Commissioner Tobin has done.
Yes,
And
that's
why
true.
we're here
I
today.
can't take that credit. These
Well, no,
these are actually just a copy of the school's plan that they had already submitted, with the exception of the FIU component. It's sort of a reworking of the school's goals and plans.
Let's
And also, my statistics are from 2 days ago. They're 2014 statistics, so they're not. They're actually the most current statistics
Let's
available.
move it. Let's move it quick. Commissioner Whitehorn, do you want to quickly, briefly, just give your thoughts?
Yeah,
Let's-
I concur
let's
with Commissioner Malakoff.
Okay, thank you.
And my comments are, I have very, very succinct ones. If we're going to spend money, I want to spend money wisely. If we're going to crunch numbers, I want to know what data we're going to crunch. The school board has certain information which is privileged, and if they're not going to give our consultant access to that data, frankly, we're wasting our money. And I believe that they are not going to give us the kind of access that we need to have a good outcome. Secondly, I'd rather take the money, see what FIU comes up with, and fund an actual program with real results rather than fund a study. So I applaud the efforts that Commissioner Tobin did to get us on this track, but frankly, I think now we need to do a departure. We need to not do the study. We need to see what FIU comes up with, and we need to fund a
Great.
program.
Thank you. So you're against both studies. Commissioner Grieco, how are you feeling here?
I'm good.
Okay? You feeling comfortable? You all right? You look good. You look good. All right. Commissioner Steinberg, Commissioner Wolfson, we're talking about the school board, just because we're going to probably have Commissioner Tobin's going to want to put something out for a vote. Just want to get your thoughts. Commissioner Steinberg, are you in favor of either study, without a charter, with a charter option?
At this point, I think that I agree with my colleagues. Unfortunately, at this time, I don't think we need to move forward with the study. I think after speaking with the principal yesterday of Nautilus, he's been there 1 year, just 1 year, and in the 1 year, he's already cleaned that school up and done a lot of really good things. And I'd like to give them that opportunity to show us that they're on that track.
Is there a timetable that we'd all would want to?
We can revisit it in,
I think he was referring to the timetable that the school board would have to do something at the school.
Commissioner Tobin, would you be comfortable if we picked a timetable and said, okay, we're going to revisit this in 3 or 4 months, and if we don't see significant or 6 months progress, then we have to kind of go back to your study concept? Is that something you'd be comfortable with? Or?
Well, I've been in government now for 6 years, and I've fought a lot of these fights, and I've had a lot of commissioners not support things and then eventually come around.
Yep.
I looked at the data. I mean, it's nice to say they're nice and they said they'll do this, but their data as well as their projections for the future are abysmal.
Okay.
So, I mean, they've promised to strive for abysmal. And the body up here is like, well, let them give it a shot to strive for abysmal. And I just...
All right, let's let Commissioner Wolfson.
I think you've put a lot of... thank you.
My pleasure.
I think you've... thanks for being there. I think you've put a lot of sincere effort into this, and I think that we've gotten more attention on this topic in the last couple months than we ever have. I think everybody knows that this is a topic that needs attention, so I would be supportive of what you want to do. I mean, I think that you've shown leadership on this topic, and I think that we've made some progress and we've got people listening. So I'm with you if you want help.
A study with no charter option, just kind of a study.
And you know what?
Yeah.
We don't even have to.
Is that what you want to study with no charter option?
Yeah, that'd be fine. But right now, I'm just looking to find that expert. We may end up not doing a study.
Because
we may end up.
Can we make
the school board may make some progress, and we may not have to engage the expert. But to keep waiting, every day, week, month.
I get it. Let me ask you a quick question. Mr. Manager, is there a way that we could go locate an expert, not necessarily pull the trigger on a study, but be ready so in the event that Commissioner Tobin wants to move this again, we have an expert in place who could do this study?
Well, obviously, an RFP, we would be coming back to you at a later date with an award. So at that point, or we could do it as an RFQ if you want. Yes, we could identify the person and then decide at a later date if you want to award or not. That could affect who decides to apply, but certainly we have that option if you want.
Commissioner Grieco, would you be okay with that? Not doing, but just finding the person?
Yeah, I spent some time with the folks from the school board yesterday, and this has been popping up now for months, and I understand Commissioner Tobin's position. I mean, if it costs no money to locate somebody, that's fine. I think that Superintendent Carvalho and his team have done a pretty admirable job of responding to the concerns that we've raised, and I want to give them a chance to at least fix it first, fix the problems. I want to give them that opportunity.
Good. And I think we all agree with you, and I agree with you as well. And I applaud Superintendent Cavallo and his team and his staff and everything they've done, and the new principal. I think just out of deference and the fact that Commissioner Tobin has done a lot of this work, maybe it's a good idea just to locate somebody and not necessarily engage, but know that we have somebody on
Mr. Mayor,
standby. Commissioner Malikoff.
We also want to thank our school board member, Martin Karp, who's here.
Absolutely.
I think that it's premature. I think we should give the school board and Nautilus at least 6 months to work this out, to work through the partnership with FIU. I don't see any point. The city is busy with lots and lots of other things on their plate. I see no reason to send out an RFP for a consultant that we may or may not hire. I think that Commissioner Whitehorn made a very good point. We have other better means for the money that's going to take for a consultant.
Right,
and I think we should delay it.
Commissioner Tobin?
Nautilus needs a chance to show what they can do.
I don't think that there's anything more important than the education of our kids, and it takes months and months and months to go through these RFPs. I've taken a look at the data on what the school board has promised to do, and what they've promised to do is marginal. What they've promised to do, their targets are 80 and 78, where the other schools are 20% higher on their targets. And they haven't been able to do it since 2010. So for 4 years, this has been going on, and we've been doing a disservice to our kids. And to say that we want to wait, there's no timetables. I mean, there's no substance to this other than it's a reprint of what they promised to do.
The question is,
I mean, they're nice and they're very heavy-duty politically,
we're not
but
spending money, we're not engaging. We're just locating somebody that the event that we do want to engage, that we have somebody there available. That would be the directive with Commissioner Tobin's potential.
Because otherwise, the school year doesn't. Yeah, the school year doesn't start until next year.
He's not saying engage. He's not saying spend money. He's just saying, can we locate somebody that in the event that we do want to engage, I wouldn't be using too much of the resources, but I think based on all Commissioner Tobin's efforts and getting us to this point, I think it's, Yes, Commissioner White.
Again, I concur with Commissioner Malikoff, but if you must look at someone, it must be an RFQ, not an RFP.
Okay.
Because we get into the RFP, then we start going down the road. Do we have a charter? Do we not have a charter? And I think that's very contentious. But I do think it's not free to get an RFQ, okay? Because staff has to spend time. Someone has to review it. Someone has to research the qualifications, although we have Leslie and she knows how to put this together. It is not free to go look for someone. So guys, if that's what you want to spend money on, go right ahead. I've already stated I'd rather spend the money on programming and action. You can do what you want. I think there's a lot of action steps that we can do.
I think what we're saying is that we would be simultaneously, hand in hand, utilizing all the action steps.
No point to it.
Yeah. And these action steps that the school board provides, I think that they ought to have some targets and
Okay, let's call.
And also, they say that they're going to engage FIU to look at middle schools in general, and they will look at our middle school first. That's kind of not a contract.
Why don't you want to put something out there so we can vote?
Yeah, I'll move that the city issue the RFQ that I understand has already been drafted. I know we've got some PhD school people on our QEC that may sit on the RFP, but in any event, I'd like to put out the RFP, or the RFQ, we'll call it an RFQ, to discover who it is in the country that can help us in bringing our middle school to the best in the country, or at least the best, one of the best in the county.
Can we also say that would not include potentially a charter school option initially?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I'll second that.
Okay. Do you want to do I know it's not a roll call, Mr. Clerk,
do a voice
but you may
vote.
want to ask voice vote.
Commissioner Grieco.
No.
Commissioner Malikoff.
No.
Commissioner Steinberg.
No.
Commissioner Tobin.
Yes.
Commissioner Whitehorn.
No.
Commissioner Wolfson.
Yes.
Mayor Levine.
Yes.
Motion fails.
Okay, let's move on.
Look, I just want to say that I
Sure.
think education is one of the most important things. Nautilus Middle School is something that's very important to all of us, and I want to help and fight, make it the best middle school in our city. So I'm going to do that, and if we have to revisit, we will. But I just want to say that on the record.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I ask for something? I'm going to put our school board representative, Martin Karp, on the spot, as well as the school board staff. Can we ask you to send to us, either at the meeting or at a committee, a formal presentation of where you are with this implementation program no later than, I'm going to say the end of September, because that's after the school year has began. Is that doable? Yes. So, Mr. Manager, we expect a report in September, and I'm going to tell you, I voted no. But in September, if I've not seen significant action, I will change my vote to yes. Right here and now, I'm going to put that on the record. So you have till September to get me something I can see.
Okay, so why don't we do this? Mr. Clerk, could we know that we're going to put this, Commissioner Tobin, on the agenda for September?
For October.
Well, I think that you ought to look for, instead, these are promises, but they're kind of sort of loosey-goosey. There's not a lot of detail.
What do you want on the agenda in September?
I'm asking for a report of what action they've taken.
By
Not what
September.
they've tried to do, what action they've taken.
Okay.
I was very specific in my words.
Okay, so we will put it on the September 10th commission
Can you do it
agenda?
by September 10th? You need to come in October.
I've had 4 years. I mean,
Okay, they'll finish the report by September. We'll have it in an October meeting.
The October meeting is October 22nd.
All right, so Commissioner Tobin, they're going to report back with all their action steps, and then we're going to if necessary, we're going to retake this vote in October. Okay?
thank you.
And once again, I just want to publicly thank Commissioner Tobin, because we wouldn't be here today and all these action steps wouldn't be contemplated if it wasn't for the unbelievable efforts of Commissioner Tobin to get us there.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, before lots of parents leave,
Yep.
Commissioner Tobin is first and foremost a parent. I know that because I know him well. But we have a lot of parents in the room, and it's really the parents that make the difference. It's not always the school. So I want to applaud each and every one of you that took your time when school's out to come, and I want to thank you because it shows your commitment to your students and to your children and to the staff who came. And I can only tell you that that's what matters at the end of the day when you do a look back, is the time and effort you put in. So thank you to all of you.
I'd like to repeat, Mr. Mayor.
There's another school item there real quick, right?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
I just
sure.
would also like, while the parents are still here, as a former activist in the school PTAs and PTA president of Miami Beach High School, the time you spend in the schools, the time you spend in working with your teachers, your students, the principal, in making Nautilus and every school in Miami Beach a better school is so worthwhile. It's the schools that have the interest of the parents that do the best. So please keep on what you're doing. It's so important.
Great. And thank you, everybody from the school board, for coming here, and Dr. Karp and all of you. Appreciate it. We look forward to seeing those action items in October.
Mr. Mayor, there is one other school-related item.
Yes, I see R9F.
R9F.
Okay. Mr. Clerk, R9F, do you want to?
R9F is a discussion to extend the foreign language program in Miami-Dade Public Schools requested by Commissioner Tobin as a discussion item.
Yeah, just briefly, I was shocked to learn that immersion in bilingual is not available to all the students in our schools. Last time we were here, the school board told us that there wasn't enough teachers that could teach Spanish in Miami-Dade County, so that was the reason. So if we could perhaps go to Alabama and locate some Spanish speakers that are proficient in teaching Spanish, that would be really great. Maybe we could wait until October for that to be accomplished. But I'd like to push for at least bilingual opportunities for all students in our elementaries and in our junior high and high school, and the immersion style, not the 1 hour of Susana está en la cocina, but, you know,
You mean your level of Spanish?
Sí. Yo creo que todos los niños necesitan hablar español y la escuela necesita
do we all
tratar.
want to do that? So do we need to make that motion, or is that just a discussion?
Well, it's up to the school board because we don't have an expert, or we're not going to advocate. So,
Okay, why don't we make, Mr.
But I guess we
Commissioner,
could-
why don't you make a motion supporting that? And I think we all agree with that.
Yeah.
okay, I
So,
would like to
Second that? Someone want to
I'll
second?
second.
Second it? All those in favor? Say
Aye.
all by acclamation.
Can we hear from the school board when they think they could get that accomplished? Could put that on the goals, or?
Why don't we look to revisit that at the same time in October? Is that okay? Or do you want it before?
Listen, it's not okay for me, but I'm sure it's okay for
Actually,
everybody.
before? Okay. Okay, when, can we do that before?
Once we get to real business.
Next week? No, I think October is too far, the commissioner is saying. Is there a way we can do that earlier? Maybe in September? Is that?
Well, it's got to be available for the kids. If they report back in October, I'm not going away. You guys won one today, and I congratulate your expertise in this political arena. But Spanish for all the kids would be a nice touch, immersion. So will you let us know what has to happen, what needs to be,
Great.
whose campaign do I need to contribute to? I need this done
Thank you.
soon.